Welcome back. The time has come for us to jump into episode 2, The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern exchange student from his harrowing plight than in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
By Jove! My name is Ryunosuke, apparently, Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law. Having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. It's gotta be from Susato. Kai. A lot of dots. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. It'd be good to see him again. 30th of August, 7:28 a.m. Sholmes' suite. Ah, Runo, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Oh, bacon. Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. Shh. Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation-repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, I see. So that's it. Hello. I like his chair, though. I really want a chair like that. The truth is as clear as to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have this very morning met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely wants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. A lot of dots. Can I talk now? But of course. Though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you. Hurley pulled your button off. Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then that in my vexation I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. Unerring? But, Hurley, Muna said it when we came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire. The famous consulting detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. All right then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it gets cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. Oh, lovely. My latest special blend. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes as published in Lanced magazine. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? What was it? Really? That's right. And she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun. Oh, well, let's examine the stuff we got around the place then. When it gets to this time of year, Londoners seem to leave their hearths alight all day long. It's a fire, mate, and I love it. There's something very relaxing about watching the flames flit and dance about. But a fireplace in days of summertime is a waste of space. Really no use at all. That's what the mantle's for. Rather like a great detective in days of no crimes and criminals, Hurley? But consider this. Instead of a fireplace, a frost place. That's my latest idea. An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer months. What do you think? Possible? It's actually technically possible to do that kind of thing. If you try and bring the wind down from the outside through a chimney, it would bring the breeze in, which would cool the air down. You get an air circulation thing going on. Like this, like thinking back to the era, like before air conditioning units and stuff like that. That would be a way of doing it. Maybe you could have some device that would change how the top is of the chimney, the outside bit on top of the building, whether or not it's good for drawing in air or drawing out air, because you want it out, obviously, when you're doing a fire. So it's possible. It's not necessarily a bad idea. I think if you invented such a thing, your name would go down in history. But it already exists. Like the whole idea of drawing cold air in, or breeze, already exists. A lot of desert nations do that. They have like sort of these chimneys on top that capture cooler air, capture a breeze. It was air conditioning, like really, really, really ancient style. I think it goes back thousands of years, thousands. But anyway, the principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a coal fire in the hearth. Well, this is nonsense. Yes, of course. Brilliant. The trouble is, none of the fires I build ever burn cold. How it taunts me. So, as you British say, it's of a bit of a damp squib? Is that a British phrase? I thought that was just a phrase. Hello? Oh, hello. Books, papers, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Miss Susato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves. Oh? Why not? Everything's in intricate balance. Hurley spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down. Huh. Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement, right from the outset. You make it sound like meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up. Too true, too true. Ah yes, the huge metal chest with the lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut. That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases. Yes, so I've been led to believe, though personally I've never actually seen inside. And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you may find yourself being bitten. What? Is there a beast inside there or something? By her. I like this chair. I'd like a chair like this as well. And these are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Sholmes? Not quite, Mr. Naruhodo, not quite. These trinkets are a selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. They are souvenirs of my success. Memoirs, Mr. Naruhodo. Memoirs. Do you mean memories? Memoirs, Mr. Naruhodo. Really? So, tell me about the case in which the Buster Napoleon featured. I forget. Memories, he says. Wonderful, Mr. Sholmes. Wonderful. Right, let's head off this way first. Nothing particular of note. Like this chair, that is a nice chair. I'd like something very much like that. If anybody knows where I can find a chair like that, because wow. Wow. That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name. Hurley calls it his great analytic scope. It can analyze anything at all. That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean? Ah, an extreme astute question, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis results of anything with which you care to present it. But how to interpret those results, that's the key. And I confess, I have no idea. Clearly I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. That might not help. It certainly will not help. That VR up there. The violin. Ah yes, Mr. Sholmes' faithful musical companion. Wasn't this violin made by someone famous? Yes, it's a Stradivarius. Though I'm afraid you have to save up for 100 years before you could afford one, Runo. But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Sholmes? I found it at a pawnbroker among the fortified articles. It clearly said Stradivarius on the label. What? The ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see. So I paid a mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I have something of a turn for shopping. Herlock Sholmes, bargain hunter. A lot of darts. But is it really a Stradivarius then? But of course, my dear fellow. It said so on the label. I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a term for selling. Indeed. What's this then? What's this? Ah, yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbuncle? Yes, it's from a case of a theft that Hurley solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see, especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh. So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Herlock Sholmes conundrum, huh? There are so many different bottles up there on that charming little set of white shelves. Oh, but do be careful, Runo. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know. Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. He what? He said he was hungry. I'll be extra careful. Oh dear, Mr. Sholmes. I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Ah, well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice. When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special. You're really in for a treat. That sounds ominous. Indeed. I can type with my eyes shut, you know. I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me, actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake. That's incredible. But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Oh dear. I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might have just fallen asleep on the job. I hope so. That sounds horrible. Right, so, looks like we're done with venturing around. Alright, what we got in our court record anyway? Let's have a look here. The armband, people. Don't need too much there, that's fine. Alright, so, converse. Miss Susato's startling news! So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Susato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes. It's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Susato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago. For what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with the case of the haunted lodgings. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Susato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotaba, prompting him to send that telegram. Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Yes. And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said. Very mysterious as well. Really? I said that? Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? Let's go with the top one. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by international post. Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Ha! Really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? Ah, cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume, no, I don't recall that name. Of course you do, we helped the man. Twice! You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago? Ah, the mustached twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. He didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley. Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you. Clearly. Miss Susato's repatriation. Okay. This is a word I've heard out loud but never seen written down, so I don't know. Future me here, during the editing. Repatriation. Obviously. It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was. Due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right. Telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No. It just said he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse. A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that. I wonder what Miss Susato's father is hiding. Harley, do you know what it's all about? Oh, he's changed up. Ah, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel. Even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later. I bid you adieu, dear fellow. He scuttled off rather quickly there. Yeah, he knows what's going on. I think perhaps Professor Mikataba isn't the only person hiding something here. Soseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes. Aha! I found them at last. Iris, are they? The notes about the case. That's right, Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Runa? A lot of darts. Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. But perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. That's the spirit. And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in the court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue. And I have all the time in the world. Because, of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Why? What happened? What happened?